Okay, so we just said that you can create a matrix called X by doing this. Number of rows is 2, so it assumes that the number of columns will be 5. And you can access the, what is this? This is going to be the second row, which is these numbers here. This is going to access the second column. So you should try all of this in R yourself. Just type this out and try it out. Here we're accessing the first row and columns 4 and 5. Don't forget you need the C there. You need to make a vector as the input as one of these arguments. So if you're going to have an argument here, it has to be a vector. And he explains that what's going on here. Next, he introduces the arrays, data structure called an array. And here he's creating an array, and the first argument is a vector, 1 to 24, and the second argument is the size of the, so this is going to be a 3-dimensional array, and the array is going to have 2 rows, 3 columns, and 4 layers. So that's what we're giving for the second argument here. So the first argument is the vector. Second argument is the dimensions, which has to be expressed as a vector, right? This is a vector C, means that we're creating a vector. And the last one is the dimension names, which he explicitly calls it the dimension names, but I think you don't need to have this part. You could just ignore this and just have, actually you might need it, I'm not sure. But, and you need to fill that in as a list, so you first have to make a list of the dimension names. So we haven't studied lists, but this is where you have to do it. And now we have our array, and we've stored it in Z. So according to what we said in the last video, this is an object, because an array is an object because we can store it in a variable, right? We said objects are things that can be stored in a variable, so an array is an object. Now if we do this is the same thing as typing print Z. So this is kind of like a shorthand for printing out what Z is. This is what we've used many times. And we see that it, because it's because it's 3-dimensional, it's not going to be very convenient to try and print it out as a 3-dimensional object. So instead what it does is it prints out each of the rows, each of the layers separately. So remember, there's 3 arguments here. So it means all rows, all columns of the first layer. And then it will print out all rows, all columns of the second layer, and so on. So all the rows and columns of the first layer is going to be a matrix. It's going to look like this. And we do have the dimension names here. So for the rows, it's A1, A2. For the columns, it's B1, B2, B3. And for the dimensions, we call them C's. So it's like that. I think you don't need to have the dimension names. It'll make them up for you. So test that out and see what it makes up for you. And he reminds us that arrays must be single mode. So either all numbers or all characters or all logical true falses and so on, but can't be a mixture. Okay, next we talk about data frames. I'll stop it and make another one for that.